Hi guys, welcome to Business and Life Mastery. This video is just a quick update to let you know that my new business has finally launched, and it has been a long time in the making. It has been so heavily delayed, but I'm finally here. It's finally out there. And basically what happened was that back in March 2020, when COVID hit, the UK and most other countries as well experienced fairly heavy lockdowns. Now, my main income up until that point was being a event host, so I travel up and down the country and put like a little penguin suit on, get up on stage, say a few funny things, and present different things, award ceremonies and that kind of thing. And when lockdown happened, my income virtually disappeared, or my main source of income disappeared overnight. So I started exploring different businesses and different business models that I could maybe get my teeth into. I decided that e-commerce must be the way to go, because all of my businesses, well, most of my businesses up until that point were really based around things in the service sector. So like I had a photography agency, for example, which I never went out and did photography personally, but I would just hire out photographers to weddings. And I had one years ago where it started with a similar thing, but with DJs, and that expanded into events. But yeah, never e-commerce. I kind of thought, well, given that no one could go anywhere, people are going to buy lots more things online, so let's get into that. So yeah, I did a bit of exploring, seeing what products I could get my teeth into that were selling quite well online. And quite quickly I came to the conclusion that I really didn't want to sell someone else's product. The idea of like drop shipping and selling other people's things on Amazon, it just doesn't appeal. I know it really does appeal for a lot of other people out there, which is perfectly fine. But for me, I kind of believe in longevity. When starting a business, I really think that you should also think about a potential exit plan in years to come. And if you're just selling other people's products and you build platforms around that, then yeah, you might be able to create some kind of sellable platform in the future. But I think actually creating your own brand from the get-go is just a much more powerful way to do it. And I think kind of down the line, again, looking at that exit kind of strategy and exit plan, it can add a lot more value to your sale price, the sale price of your business. So I started exploring, and I had this idea, and I thought, oh, do you know what would be good? Like a customizable comic. And the reason why I thought that was that I gave my niece this fully customized comic page years ago. I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago for a birthday, and she absolutely loved it. So I started looking at what was on the market, and I came across someone offering a customizable football comic. And I looked at the comic, and I didn't like the artwork. I wasn't particularly bowled over by their brand or anything else really. And I ordered one of their products and had a look, and I just thought, oh, do you know what? I think I could do a lot better than what they're doing. So I went down the path of creating a customizable football comic business, and finding the artist was the first hurdle. That took me a good couple of months, and then I was working with the artist, and he ended up producing some really great artwork and a really fantastic comic. And then the real fun started, because what I really failed to look at the beginning, which I looking back now, if I was to do this business again, I would do it so differently. But what I totally failed to look at was actually what was needed on the tech side of things, what was needed with the programming, the software, the plugins, the whole 9 yards. Not being clear on that from the beginning was a huge mistake on my behalf. And I think I naively thought that, oh yeah, websites could do anything these days, can't they? There's a plugin for everything. So, surely I could, get a plugin to do most of the work, or I can hire someone to create a plugin. I mean, it's quite easy to hire people nowadays, isn't it? Through sites like Freelancer, people per hour. Boo! I'm such an idiot. I couldn't have been more wrong. I went through a very painful process where my freelancer ad, really lacked clarity. And I basically said, right, I've got this Photoshop file, and using that file, I want you to magically create the comic, or create a plugin that will magically create a comic on my website without me having to do a single thing with it. So yeah, somehow create software which will manipulate a Photoshop file. It just sounds, now that I know what I'm actually talking about, it sounds bonkers. And I hired 4 people overall to do the programming. The first 2 were people who just assumed they could do it. They assumed it just sounded easier than what it was. When they realised what I was asking was virtually impossible, they gave up. And the third guy that I hired, he's actually mentioned in one of my previous videos. It's called something like the biggest mistakes I've ever made in business. Now, on one hand, to start with, he was great. He really took the time to understand what it was I was trying to do, and he worked out how it could be done, which no other freelancer did. And this is before I hired him, by the way. Now, because he went to that level of detail, I was very, very impressed. There was lots of messages that went back and forth. So I hired him, and to cut a long story short, he was great for the first few weeks, and then he obviously had other projects that were coming on board that were a lot easier. And then my project just got pushed further and further and further back in his priority list. And it got to the extent where I had no choice. I had no choice but to fire him and get someone else. I then hired another guy who I don't mind giving a shout out to, because he was absolutely amazing. A guy called Sam Bishop, who runs a programming company called Amass Creations, based in the UK. Absolutely fantastic guy, top guy, really great guy to work with. And what he basically did was that he took the code of the previous freelancer, and he basically then kind of hammered it into shape and made it work. And it took so much longer than what I expected. Like, I originally thought when I started on this path, I thought, oh yeah, I'll be open within about 3-4 months. I'll be open for Father's Day 2020. But that just totally wasn't the case. I only fired the third programmer back in October, I think, October 2020, just to give you some idea. And right now it's February 2020. The main thing is that the business is finally launched. It's finally open. It's going to take me probably a good couple of months with my other projects and commitments to get up and running with different marketing structures at different levels. And I'm very excited about the possibilities of what I could do with the business. You see, every single Premier League club that I've created a comic for, there's like a licensing possibility. There's a merchandise kind of possibility where I can sell through their own channels. And there's like European leagues I can branch out to. And once I've got the model sorted and I'm really working on the football comic side of things, then I can apply that to other sports. I can apply that to F1, golf maybe, and moving across the pond, I can maybe also look at the NFL and maybe the NHL as bigger kind of franchises to tap into with different customizable comics. So that's everything, guys. That is my update. If you'd like to check out the business, it is footballcomics.co.uk. And just as a little thing to finish with, here is the ad that I spent the best part of a week creating in partnership with a freelancer. Let me know what you think. And that aside, please do like this video, add me a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you soon. Here's the trailer. Cheers.
A unique gift for football fans of all ages. Choose the name and gender of the main character of your favourite football team. Add a special customised message. Customize the character by selecting their hair, skin, and eye color. You get scouted, you play in the cup final, and you score the winning goal! Lift the cup, be the champion. Have your comic in a luxury silk folder or order a digital download. Our customizable comic is a perfect gift for any occasion.